I like On2 with Dre and E.
Okay.
Because you On2 with Dre and E.
Until you add a third, then what?
That's +1.
Oh.
That's a +1.
Damn. Okay. All right. Well.
But you On2 with Dre and E.
+1. Okay.
If we have the +1.
Yes. Okay.
But you know, at least you know you're On2, and we both dance On2. That's how we met salsa.
Yes.
Dancing On2.
All right. Well.
You E, I'm Dre.
All right. Well, let's break it down. Share with the people why we're here.
You want to set us off?
Or should I set us off?
House rules. It's your crib. You should start it off.
I should start it off. What's going on your platform?
Yeah. Fair enough. Touche. That was a good one.
Yeah.
I can't even argue that one.
This ain't my show.
This ain't my show. How you just here?
Yo, I'm just here so you don't have to do it alone.
Oh shit.
You know what I'm saying? I'm here to add some thought-provoking things to think about. I don't know, but for the most part, it's gonna be you. All right, so let's jump. We're just gonna jump right into this
Right
shit.
now. Yep. You're E.
I'm E. This might change, but for
This
right
might
now,
change.
it's his show. It's his show.
We're not doing really Dre.
Really, Dre?
The really
Yeah.
Dre may not work out too well.
All right. Well, let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about how we got here.
Yeah.
So last night we connected.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was at the cigar bar.
at the cigar bar. You weren't
My
gonna
favorite spot.
You weren't gonna come out last night.
Sure shit wasn't.
And you know, my mantra is, you know, what is my
realest
mantra?
shit ever. The realest shit ever.
You never
You
you
never remember the nights you took it easy. You only remember the nights you went past and
That's
you
true.
pushed the limits.
Right. Within reason. So
True. Within the reason.
But a lot of that has to do with making sure that you're leaving yourself open to opportunity.
Correct.
So you and I had a conversation and we were talking about things, and I've always admired the way that you share yourself with the world. I'm terrible at sharing myself with the world
I
on
think
social
I'm-
media platforms.
Well, no, you're not terrible. You don't do it.
Sometimes
You don't do it at all. That's the difference.
I share myself sometimes,
You do not.
just not as often. And I'm not technically savvy with,
You got
with the new stuff.
Get the hell out of here. You got
There's an
two
update.
mics. Yeah, you got two mics and the whole setup for a studio.
This is all analog, bro. This ain't social media platform. None of this exists in the cloud, okay? None of it. All of this exists in my crib. I like that. None of this exists in the cloud. So I thought it was important. I thought, so let's rewind. So the past week, now you've been working out for a long time. You've been in the gym. I remember there was a time when you were getting up at 5 a.m. Is that still a thing?
That's always been the thing.
Okay.
That's never changed.
That's something that I've always admired, because I'm not a morning person in the least bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I think recently you started sharing these workout videos and showing, because apparently some people have talked to you and be like, you got to share a little bit more of yourself and all this other stuff. So
Yeah.
So you started doing that in a variety of different ways.
Over the last couple of years, yeah.
A couple years.
Because I was like you. Like, I was a ghost. Yeah, like, social media for me is entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look at it as to reveal my life. And,
Right.
you know, I live my life in real life. I don't live my life online. So
Mm-hmm.
people only knew what they thought they knew, which at the time from what I was sharing was I go to basketball games and I go eat a lot. So I got to be fat and go to, you know, whatever events there are. But it's like, nah, dude, I do other stuff, but I didn't share a lot of work stuff. I didn't share a lot of like personal stuff, making me, you know, somebody you can, I guess, relate to. And I was kind of like you, like, who cares? Like,
Right.
But that's not,
And
especially when doing what I do, you have to have a personable presence.
People have to be attracted to you, and it's always been clear to me that people are attracted to you. People do want to know what you're doing outside of work, which I'm still trying to get comfortable with. But I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. But the most recent thing that I think you probably even have been surprised at the feedback is the workout videos, right? So I was like, look, I think you're at a place where you could be doing a little bit more and just taking this to another level and sharing not only what you're doing physically, but sharing your mind with people. Because I think you have a lot to share. I think you have a lot to contribute. And I think there's just a lot there that people are intrigued about and want to learn a little bit more about when it comes to you. So I propose that we share that in this platform. And
why was that cigar bar not smoking or drinking?
well, you weren't supposed to be drinking.
That's true.
You sipped
I paid for it this morning.
And you paid the Negro price for the Negro drink that you ordered.
Oh my God, that was horrible.
And I paid a lesser price
for a higher shelf liquor.
I exactly. I paid a lesser price for a higher shelf liquor.
Messed up.
But that's all about, again, perception.
Yeah, and economics.
Right. So let's jump into this.
Well, let's first talk about how we know each other.
They don't know me.
That's the whole point why we're here. That's why we're on 2.
Oh man, on 2. So we haven't decided that that's what this is gonna be
I
called.
like it.
The man likes it. Okay.
Well,
all right. We'll lean into it then. Take us there.
A couple years back, I decided I wanted to step out of my comfort zone, and I had always liked music. I'm a very big music person, which we share interest in that, and decided to go learn salsa because somebody I knew was dancing salsa and was really good at it. So I decided to take classes, and that's where I met you. And who could possibly be our plus one if they're here one day, you know, enjoying the pod.
To remain nameless.
Remain nameless, you know. But start taking classes, and I don't know, you can talk about my progress because I take videos of the class and I post them on my social media, which was showing people that I do other things besides sell real estate, which I am a realtor. And I was also playing basketball at 5 o'clock in the morning at times, so I would show videos of me playing ball, or not videos, well, me being at the basketball court at 5 o'clock in the morning, not videos of me playing ball, but that, and then videos of our salsa classes that we attend, and everybody was always like, why are you not dancing? Why is there a video of you dancing? And I'd be like, yo, show up to where I'm at and you'll see me dance. Like, I'm not...
Give the people what they want.
Yeah, exactly. I was still like, nah, fam, I'm good. Like,
give the people what they want.
And I still like, you know, I just don't have any videos of me dancing like that because, you know, we're always in there and we just do what we do.
Right.
And
trying to be present.
Yeah, I'm trying to be present. And I just take a video of what the class is going on as it starts out, not when we're really in it doing what we do.
The tease.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's still always been working out. But one of my good friends, his brother, who was at the gym, just like, hey, let's work out together. And I'm like, sure. Next thing you know, he's like, you know, he wants to record it. I'm like, I don't care because I'm not gonna record it because it's not.
You can't work out and record at the same time.
And I hate the people that do it at the gym. Like it's always a weird vanity thing.
Yeah, and so that's actually, and I'm glad you brought that up again because that's actually the thing that's where the light bulb went off for me, is because that is you as a person, whereas to share yourself is to share your authentic self, right? Because you're not in it for the vanity, you're not in it for the look. You're actually just trying to share the variety that is you, right? Everything, you're not just boxed into just one thing. You actually want to explore the world and experience different things that can help diversify your thought.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought was very, I think there's not enough of that. And that's why I thought this platform is going to be tremendous for people to really understand you and how you became to be that as a person, because to me that's special, to not necessarily, to be open to different things, but not necessarily lose a sense of self in that process. And so I thought that was profound, and I think it's important to capture that because these type of stories, these personalities aren't always, they're very rarely captured. And it's important that people see that the growth is possible, but also understanding the challenges with it. And then if we could help, if we can help lend at least some guidance to someone else for them to not have to experience or at least go through the growing pains of the things that we've experienced.
Yeah.
To me, that's beneficial. That's giving back.
Yeah.
That's
Always.
paying. That's paying it forward.
Correct.
So if we back up, you are a licensed realtor
Mm-hmm.
in the state of Connecticut.
For now.
For now, but so as long as you choose to keep your license.
Well, I mean, I would want to venture maybe in the future try to see what other states I would want to do business in.
Okay.
So for now, I'm
Right.
my main right now is Connecticut, is where I live.
That's where you're licensed
For now,
to trade real estate.
Correct. I may want to expand or try different things later, but see how that goes.
So I think let's hear about how you were attracted to the field as a profession.
I bought my first house. when I was 22. 22, yeah, go turn 23. It's probably around 2007, 2008. I was working as a manager for Verizon Wireless in one of the retail stores. Was like assistant manager running the stores and whatnot. And my realtor was just like, "You'd be really good at it. You know, you have a good personality, you're personable, etc." And at that time was the boom of the market. You know, everybody was a real estate investor. People were flipping houses. People were doing wholesale deals. People were, out there getting money.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, shit, I can do it too. And I know, I had, for some reason, it was wasn't like a hard thing to transition to learn. And at that time, the iPhone came out and destroyed the cell phone business.
Disruptive.
It was disruptive. Huge. And sales started changing. And, it wasn't making the same money you were making in the wireless industry like it was prior to that happening, because that was exclusive with AT&T, a whole bunch of other big corporate, the corporate moves. And I said, well, I met a guy who came to the store one time, an older dude who owned a bakery, and I asked him, because he came up in the cherry red Benz, you know how that goes. You see somebody with it, you're like, yo, what'd you do? Like, what do you do?
Right.
I'm not afraid to ask those questions. And he was just like, I own a bakery, and he kind of put me on game. Was like, people always need 3 things in life: food, shelter, and clothing. You have one of those 3 things, you're good.
And he was Italian.
Yeah, he was Italian.
Was he from the country? Or
yeah,
what?
he had
So he was first generation.
Yeah, which I think that's that the American story of the immigrant coming in and learning business and building true entrepreneurship. Yeah. I think that's always commendable. So you want to ask those people because they had to do it from nothing, from scratch, and figure it out. And he told me that, and I was like, all right, well, I can't cook for shit, so I'm not going to do that. I don't know how to sew. I can't draw to save my fucking life. I fucking can't do it. So designing was, but I know what it likes to look good and put on some good, to get fly, because you could put a fit. I could put the fit together, and be all right.
Yeah.
But I wasn't, my lane. So, like houses, all right, cool. You can sell a house, and I just went through the process, so
right.
I knew.
But he didn't own any investment properties, so to speak.
Didn't ask him. I didn't know him. Like, we never built that kind of relationship.
So that's right, because this was just a
transaction.
encounter.
Yeah. Because he came in, bought a new phone. Was like, yo, I got this Benz. I need to have the Bluetooth hooked up, because that's what it was back in them days. We had the Bluetooth in the car.
Yeah.
And he was like, can you help me set it up? So we would help him pair it, and that's kind of like just, and that opportunity, I asked him, what was going on, because, he's there for like an hour. And he was just cool enough to feel comfortable to give me game. So that's kind of how I got started. And I said, all right, cool. Went through the 60 hours of training, or, that you got to go through to get the license.
Mm-hmm.
Did that, and I passed. First shot, licensed. Okay. But that's just the entry. You know what I mean? That's just for you to get in.
Yeah.
It's not for you to make no money.
So how do you select? So from the time that you take the 60 hours,
mm-hmm.
you pass the test,
mm-hmm.
you're now licensed. What was your process in terms of selecting a brokerage to link up with?
So I did the easy route. The place I went to get my pre-license in just happened to also be the same place I hung my license with a brokerage. It was a natural thing, like, well, it was at the time Century 21, so it's like, well, they're the ones who I started with, and why not just go there? Because I didn't know to interview with any place. It was kind of like, you still have the 9-to-5 mentality of, well, these people put the handout extended me to get me into the business, so I'm just gonna rock out with them. That's what it was. I never even went through like be a free agent of. Yeah. Let me see what you got to offer.
Of course not. Yeah,
you don't know.
When you're a rookie, you get drafted to the team.
Yeah, and that's basically what happened.
Then you know what's
correct.
Going on.
And now I think people know you want to shop around, but at the same time you don't know what you're looking for. Yeah. And it's hard because 9 times out of 10, most people are coming from a paycheck background and a 9-to-5 background
that are
entering into real estate. Okay. So you already come from the typical corporate or structured world. Yeah. So you kind of want things the same, and most people don't understand that you're entering into entrepreneurship. Once you become a realtor and become a 1099 and independent contractor, which people don't understand that part either, you are your own business.
Which means, so before we, 1099 contractor means that you basically eat what you kill.
You eat what you kill.
There is no salary.
There's no salary.
You are basically your own entity.
You're paying your insurance, you're paying your own expenses, right. And then you are itemizing it and having your accountant break it down with your profits and losses, and then filing your taxes based off of that.
Right. So the game is heavily based off of referrals and personalities, what you can attract.
Growing your own book of business. And it's sales. It's legit sales.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth and just cold calling, door knocking, networking, advertisement. Like it's everything a business does, but you are the business, so you have to wear all the hats until you can grow to where you have the ability to create those arms.
So you were with Century 21 for how long?
2.5 years.
So what was that environment like? In terms of the I would say the demographic makeup, in terms of who you work, who was in the office, how old they were, what type of backgrounds they came from.
Yeah, I think I was licensed at 23, maybe going to 24. So I was the youngest. I was the young gun, the only black kid, only black male. You're dealing with people who are your parents' age. So most people are in the retirement phase in the downswing, or they've already earned most of their money and had things, or have a spouse that earns the consistent money. So not saying they wasn't hustling, but they wasn't like, you sell 5 houses a year, whatever. You have other income that supports you, where I was looking for that to be my main source of income and switch out of the Verizon corporate world, because that started changing and that money wasn't the same. So it was a really tough transition. So that demographic was older. They were established. They had been around for, years and had went through the bubble, and they had their book of business. And I was just the young kid who basically ain't no shit.
And you didn't know any realtors prior to this, right? So, and we've had a conversation about this prior, and from I think personally, access is everything.
Correct.
Access is everything. So what you see, what you experience, the people that you share space with, it opens you up. It opens your world up to the realm of what's possible. Yeah. And so you didn't know anybody that had been a realtor before.
Nope. Except the realtor that sold me my house.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
And I got her off for calling about a house that I liked. So I never went through the process of interviewing agents. Yeah. It was one of those. I called about 123 Main Street, and she happened to be on what's called floor time. Like when you go to a dealership, whoever's just standing around. She picked up the phone, and that's why I got my realtor.
Okay. Do you remember your first sale?
My first sale?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember my first sale.
Yeah, take us through that.
So my first sale was a short sale, probably one of the most difficult transactions to do in real estate.
And the short sale
is basically a pre-foreclosure. So somebody who has had a hardship and is in the process of losing their house. Yeah. And they're not fully foreclosed on by the bank, so you're trying to negotiate getting the house sold before it hits that part, so they don't completely lose their shit. Right. And lose the credit, all that kind of stuff.
Right. You don't want the foreclosure. You don't want the credit.
Hell no.
You know what I'm saying?
And if you can avoid it, avoid it.
Right, because the bank can write that off as a loss, which is
what they do.
Right, exactly.
They're insured by the government anyway.
Right, and that's one of those things, one of those nuggets that most people that come from where we come from don't understand.
Correct.
Like we have always been taught to be so stand up, right? Dignified. Is that you make an agreement to pay something, you pay it, right? So, but in business, there's these things, right?
Loopholes.
And I guess we've talked about this about you get what you negotiate, right? And so
yeah.
And so what I've learned over time is that the things that we have been conditioned to be ashamed about are things that people have no shame in I would say exploiting.
Correct. Because it's the system. It's a game.
Yeah.
It's really a game, and they take the emotion out of it. Because, when you know it, then you know how to circumvent or get around it.
Right, because they have access to
information.
And people that work in the industry that's saying, hey, look, don't be embarrassed. We're going to short sale this thing.
Yep. In 3 years, you'll be straight.
And then boom, right? So, yeah. So, and that's, it's something that I started to learn in my profession it's night and day between what they've conditioned us to believe versus what you do from a financial perspective with your money, how things operate.
Well, financial literacy is in the culture and the community that we come from is so not talked about because
kept you illiterate for a long time.
Even with what we know now, you still have the wrong information. You see what I'm saying? Like, financial literacy is a lot, and it means understanding everything about as we talk about the role of the finances and how money works. Just how to use money, how to make money work for you, even in a loss. Like, you taking a loss on the house, cool. But it doesn't mean that you're dead, and it doesn't mean that you're done. You know what I'm saying? And separating the emotions for it and playing the game of money. And I got into a conversation with somebody I knew this week, talking about, like, they were saying life insurance is the wealth building generational thing, and I was like, no, it's not.
Well, I got a theory on that later, but we'll get back to that.
But I was just like, that's a tool. That's a tool in the belt for setting up your financial house. It's not the gem. It's not, one of the Thanos stones, the 6 stones you put on your hands to take care of the world. It's one of those, you need that in the tool bucket as a thing to use in building your financial house. So it's understanding, like I said, financial literacy and understanding how to use money to work for you. We don't know that. And I see it all the time, like, what I do with you get approved for $250, you don't have to spend $250. Knowing your budget.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I'm saying? Knowing your numbers, knowing your money. Like, we have a thing that we talk about all the time. Yeah. We don't like car notes.
Oh, yes.
Like,
no, we do not.
Like, I'll drive a beat up piece of shit that I own.
Yes.
That it gets me to to and fro, especially for me, as long as it looks decent, that I could pull up to somebody's house, whether it be a $500,000 house or a $100,000 house. But I don't need a car note.
Right.
I don't need to have a $400 car note with a $200 insurance, because that's losing money on a depreciating asset.
Right.
So,
which in the end is considered a liability.
Correct. But like it's tax time. People gonna go take that whatever they get for their income tax check and go put that down on a car. Yeah. And you're spending, $400 a month on a car. Like you're driving something that's losing money.
And that's cheap nowadays. $400 all in is cheap.
But I'm saying, even the fact that you're spending that is like
that's tough.
That's tough. That's hard. Where nobody wants to take. I'll just drive a 2005 or 2004.
Or 99.
Whatever.
I'm.
Yeah, we know you rocking the green bad boy for life.
I'm in a 99 right now.
I feel you.
Period.
Listen,
I'm trying to get them classic plates so I don't pay property tax.
That property tax is real. That's property tax.
So I'm in line for those classic plates right now. So financial literacy is key.
Yeah,
it's key. It's important. It's something that we
don't
historically we're still trying to get there.
Correct.
I wish
more people talked about it. I wish more people talked about that.
Well, it's not necessarily that people aren't talking about it. It's
how you talk about it.
It's how you talk about it, and then how are we? Who are you reaching out to?
Right.
Are we getting in the right rooms to share
I
the
don't
message?
think it's the right rooms. Things, also it's just information. Because it comes down like there's Audible books, there's YouTube now. Like,
well, now you're getting into consumer behavioral habits. We'll save that for another.
I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Like
consumer behavior habits.
Because I mean, like, now we're in the time of you can't say you don't.
This is
know.
the information age.
Correct. Like,
it's the information age. Before
there was definitely a bigger, thicker glass ceiling to keep you away from certain information.
Right, because it was all brick, because it was physical. It was tangible. Information was usually held either in the mind or in a book.
Correct. Now you have no excuse.
Now it's no excuse.
It's right there in your phone. Right. You see what I'm saying? And and Google has evened the playing field. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And there's so many people now who are putting out content for free on how to budget, how to understand money, that you can just take a half an hour to an hour to watch a YouTube video and just maybe stick with that one YouTube video until you get it.
Anything you want to learn,
you can find on anything. YouTube. So that kind of is like my thing of the financial literacy is like, all right, well, there's no excuse. Even for myself, like there's no excuse why there's certain things I shouldn't be doing. Yeah. It's just applying,
it's attitude.
Yeah.
So let's get back to your first sale, the short sale.
So the short sale. So when I first got into the business, they tell you basically you gotta make phone calls to get business. And what's called cold calling. Mm-hmm. That's ABCs of selling.
Right.
So, I called a person who had previously tried to sell their home. They didn't sell it with the previous agent. I called at the voicemail. And they called me back like the next day, like, hey, I got your voicemail. And, let's meet. And I was kind of like, oh, shit. Word? Like,
right. Now what?
Yeah, exactly. Now what?
She said yes.
Yes, she said yes. Like, oh, shit. Like, so I go through the appointment, and she's like,
she said yes.
We're gonna, we need to do a short sale because we owe, bum. And I reached out. I asked one of the older heads in my office, like, hey, I actually got somebody who wants to work with me. Mm-hmm. First, what the forms I need, and go through that piece. Got the forms and like, what do I do? Because this was a special type of sale, which wasn't the standard sale that everybody does.
Right, short sale.
Short sale, and at this time it's probably 2009 when short sales still weren't custom for every bank. They didn't know what to do because they just lost a bunch of money and they were trying to get the government to get them their money back.
But it wasn't new, was it? It wasn't. So
short sales was new.
So that had not been a terminology before 2009.
It wasn't even a process for most banks.
Okay.
To even deal with it. So people were learning it on the fly too.
Yeah.
So I had to go, I got a recommendation, use a certain attorney. I used that attorney, they decided to list with me, which was like, oh shit, I did it. Got a listing, took some whack pictures. I think I took the pictures, horrible. Put it on the market, went through that process, which all of that was like, when you don't know, you just, I felt like I was chicken around with my head cut off. Like,
and you didn't, and nobody in the office was offering any guidance.
No, there was. There were.
Okay.
I had two of my OGs. Definitely did.
Okay.
But it was still like, we'll give you, but you gotta walk. Like, we're not gonna baby you through it. You gotta walk.
I'm not getting paid for this.
Correct.
Right.
So, but they were still gracious about it, and they're still my OGs to this day. Mm-hmm. And went through the process, and like I would say, I had a contract on it within a week.
Do you remember the buyer?
No, it wasn't my buyer. I was on the seller side.
Okay.
But then what I didn't know was how long it took to get the shit to sell.
Okay.
So it took a year to sell it.
Really?
So from the time
after
I got the buyer, put him under contract, it took a year for the bank to approve the sale.
Really? Wow.
Because it was a new process and not everybody knew how to do it.
Okay.
So that was the first like humbling lesson of entrepreneurship of like, it ain't like being on what most people do on the street. It ain't like being in a store where you sell a candy and you get to exchange it.
You didn't have a willing seller at the time. You had somebody who had to sell and it was uncomfortable.
Correct.
And then you had somebody on the buyer side that was trying to take advantage of
a deal.
Yeah.
They're buying a deal, but there was a third party involved who had to approve the deal.
Which was the bank.
And nothing about a bank moves quick.
Right, because they're not trying to write off.
Take a loss.
No money.
And at this time, it was a different market for everybody. So that's when I learned that, you know, the finances happen a little bit differently. And it took a year for it to close, and when it did, it felt great. And I looked at the paycheck and I was like, that's all I got. You know what I'm saying? Because you get paid, but you still got to bust it down with your brokerage.
Right.
So like that ain't, you know, that part didn't really register to me of like, nobody told me that. Like,
nobody told you.
yeah, like, all right, so let's just say, for instance, you sell, keep the number simple, $100,000 house. You get 3% of the deal. That's what you negotiate. Remember, that's what you negotiate with the seller. So let's say you're getting 3,000 earmarked for you when you sell the house, right? So you get 3 racks. But now you got to take it back to your broker. Now, but whatever you negotiated with your broker, you're busting that $3,000 down with them. So say most people on 50-50 splits or whatever they got, but let's say standard 50-50, that 3 racks is $1,500 now.
Right.
So now you got $1,500.
So and then tell me.
Wait, because even at the $1,500,
yeah,
we got to pay our own taxes.
Right.
Because we 1099.
Yes.
So you're talking anywhere between 20.
Because in effect you are a small business. You are a business.
Correct.
Okay.
So you pay your taxes quarterly. You pay them at the end of the year. Either way, you don't want to owe Uncle Sam. So that $1,500, let's say, worst case scenario, you taking 25% out. Best case, worst case scenario, best case scenario is 25%. You paying the taxes. Worst case scenario, maybe 35-40, depending on whatever you're doing, whatever your situation is. Everybody's different, but you gotta take 25% off of that $1,500. And now after that, then you got whatever you need to take care of your stuff.
Right.
Now you gotta take care of your bills.
Yeah.
So everybody thinks, you're making big money. It's like, you are, but you're not. You know what I'm saying? It's how much you can produce and then at what price points, because then that's when it obviously takes the effect of the more higher the price tag, the more you get paid out. So that's when most people try to create their niches so that either they're going to do volume or they do, price tag. So some people want to stay above a certain price value so that they know they make a better margin, better profit. Some people just say, crank them out, because at least I know in the volume I'm getting paid. It may not be the best dollar amounts, but they all equal the same. I'm just doing maybe a little more work.
Yeah. So that was your first. So that was your first transaction, and that was 2000 and
maybe 10, maybe 9.
2010. So 10. Maybe. You got a decade of game underneath you. So do you remember the easiest transaction?
Each transaction is always cash transactions. Those are the guys coming to you like, yo, I just want to buy that house.
Do you remember when the first time you saw that, you experienced that, and you're just like, I need more of these?
Yeah. Yeah, and I was like, oh, word, this goes in 30 days. Like, bet, yeah. I like this. Like,
so was this person an experienced buyer?
Yeah, it was an investor. So usually those guys are investors who, they have, however they make their money, but they want to invest in real estate, and they usually try to invest, when real estate is usually fucked up. Like, in those short sale situations, usually foreclosure homes, and they go and they fix them up, and then they get the profit on the back end. They just pay for them cash so that there's no bank.
So do you remember how you met this person?
I don't.
You don't remember?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I think it was probably off a listing that I had that was like in a funny situation again like that.
Yeah.
And just ended up working out.
Okay.
But those guys, when they do come around, you love them because you're like, I can close in a month.
Right.
I don't have to wait 90 days to get paid, and there's nobody else in between it because
cash is still king.
Cash is always going to be king. So you cherish those guys.
Is there a common or frequently misunderstood element of either purchasing a home or buying a home or anything in between that you always have to set people straight on?
Correct. Yes, there is.
What's that?
Purchasing a home is not like buying a car. It's 2 totally different things. 2 fucking totally different things. And that's, for most people, the biggest purchase is buying a car. Excuse me. And, you want to tell somebody, well, I try to tell, it's not the expectation is, it's a home, not the more money you put down on that. Putting more money down doesn't always get you a better rate or get you a lower payment. Because obviously with a car, the more money you put down as a down payment, then the better they can make your monthly payment. That doesn't always work out like that because interest rate is the interest rate, and whatever you're buying is whatever you're buying. That's what the lender is supposed to explain to you in detail. You're living here, like, so you know what I mean. Like, you don't want cheap. You want what's in your budget, but that's going to be able to fit you comfortably. You don't want to be house poor, so you don't want to buy the most expensive house where you're using every last dollar that you have to have a place to live, but you also don't want to be so cheap that you're always fixing something. You want to find something right in the middle, that sweet spot where maybe a couple things you need to fix, but you're also getting a deal because of it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that it balances on both sides.
Okay. Something that's common is that people go to the lender, they get pre-approved for a certain amount.
They don't. That's not even what they do. They go look for the house first, and then they come to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So people start shopping before they even know what they could buy.
Wow. Okay, so from my experience, when I first bought a house, I went on the finance side first, and they told me how much I qualified for it. You think people are going to look for their house?
No, I know.
Well,
like,
you know people are going to search for their house first, then they're going to.
I saw this house, I like it, I want to go see it, and then you ask them like, well, are you pre-approved?
Yeah.
No, typically is the answer, or I'm in the process of doing it, and then. I don't want to say, I can't put a particular percentage on it, but it's not very, very likely that most times people are qualified for the house that they like.
Okay, yeah, sure. that's
so
you're not really rolling the dice on that. We always like things we can't afford.
But that's how it starts. But that starts the expectation conversation quick too, because it's like, the hard part is most people end up liking and fall in love with that house, and it's like oh shit, I can't buy the house. Yeah. Nah, you can't buy the house, and then you hate every other house after that because you're like, I don't have what I first saw. So it's my job to try to manage the expectation of like, yo,
that's important.
We got to know what you can afford first, because I don't want you to be happy seeing. Yeah. The lights, the cameras, and the pool in the backyard, and you on, Smith Street, and it's where the kids are playing, and then you come to find out you can only be on Brown Street, where the dogs are running around, you live next to the bumpuses, and you pissed off. And what I typically find is always funny is people don't know exactly what they want. They think they have an idea until you have them sit down and talk about it. Like, so in my interviews, what I do I do a meeting with most buyers. I sit down with and I just have them like, yo, especially when it's a couple, I love it. It's the best. It's like, what do you want in your house? And you find out usually these two people aren't too.
They haven't even talked about it.
Oh my God! And it's the best and funniest thing ever, because he wants a basement with, a pool table, and she wants granite countertops with the farm sink and marble floors and the skylights, and you know what I'm saying, the grass is perfectly cut and it's moving ready, and sub-zero fridge. It's like, all right, that's cool. Like
in Avon.
Whatever, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, all right, cool, but then there's the conversation of, well, there's the house that you want and there's the house that you can afford.
Right.
And that's the humbling part of trying to set them like, yo, I'm going to try to get you as much as I can that's on your list, but there are going to be some things we have to cut out that's going to have to match what you can afford. And you have to do it in a way, which I don't know how everybody does, but for me, I have to do it, I try to make sure I do it in a way where it's still encouraging and understanding that we're going to get you what you like, but we're going to get you what you need more than what you like. And that's more important, because it's just expectations. And it's the communication between them.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, not like a mind fuck, but you're really trying
to
get them to communicate with each other.
Right.
In front of you.
Right. So now you're taking on the role as couple counseling.
You are a counselor. This job is counseling. You are a counselor.
All right.
They don't tell you that when you get your license. You're a therapist.
Yeah. Because
you're seeing somebody in their most vulnerable forms.
Have you ever had to fire a client?
Yes. Yes. I fired and I've gotten fired, but I definitely, yes.
I got it. Please.
What?
I want to hear about the couple that you fired.
couple that I fired.
Or anybody.
Oh, anybody. I fired. I had a client that just.
The first one. Let's talk about the first one because the first one, I'm sure, always has to be the most difficult.
Yeah, it's long. I've had a couple of them. I only think about the ones that stick out the most. You know, and I had one that just. I just like, yo, I was like, guys, you know, it just didn't work. Like it just like I can't do this, and. Yeah,
so how long had you been in the game before you realized you don't have to take everything that comes your way and you can actually fire somebody?
I think when I switched companies, when I switched the company that I've been with now for the last 7 years, I think that's when I realized that. Because then it was different training. Like, you don't have to deal with everybody. And it's okay. You can fire people. And that's when you realize that contract's a two-way contract. Yeah. And it gives you a different negotiation when you're sitting there with the client. Like, listen, I'm agreeing to represent you, but I'm also telling you that you can fire me and I can fire you.
Right.
And it also makes them, like, they sit back kind of like, you see that back arch, like, I mean, you can fire me. Like, no, I could fire you too. So just understand, it's a partnership. I'm here to work with you. Not so much for you, but I'm here to work with you because your goal is still my goal to help you get your house.
Right.
But it's got to be both ways. You know what I'm saying? So you need to respect me as a professional. I have to respect you as a client, and we can't go outside of that.
Is it possible? So I guess how is it that you protect your time with clients now in terms of preparation, right? Understanding that you don't get reimbursement for mileage. Mm-hmm. You don't get reimbursement for lunches, none of that. All of that is you have to see the potential in the clients that you represent, right? How much do you prep them in that process, telling them, this is what you need to, next time we meet, you need to have A, B, and C at least agreed upon amongst yourselves or within yourself.
Mm-hmm. I think each client's different, but I judge it based off if we can sit down and do a consultation for an hour, and it's not necessarily say it takes an hour, but if they're willing to commit to that and then sit down in front of you like how we're doing now and say, okay, well, this is what I want to do, and answer those questions of what's the house look like, are you willing to talk to the lender and really start, going through that process, then you take them all as far as it goes. And, I've had clients that have gone through the process and not bought, and that's fine too.
I'm sure.
But it's the commitment of, are they willing to do their work? Because some people just want to say, all right, cool, to sit with you, and then when can you show me a house? It's like, nah, you got to call the lender first or the bank and get that situated. And then no, I'm going to do it, but they don't do it. And you end up showing houses and you don't know what they can work with. Mm-hmm. And that's when you realize, you got to start putting your time at the forefront of what's the priority here. Because if they're not willing to do what's necessary, you have to make that call. And each person's their own judgment call, because some people stick it out. Some people will be like, nah, I can't, because my time is valuable to me. Because whatever I'm saying yes to you, I'm saying no to something else or somebody else.
Right.
You got to know.
Time.
Well, you're give or take. Yeah, you give or take because, for every time I'm going out with a client who hasn't bought, there was another client who really needed to buy, and that was an hour or two that I couldn't get them into a house. Mm-hmm. So, you have to measure that within yourself and figure out, was this worth it? Is it worth it? And be honest.
Yeah. What is the best practice in terms of the I would say the ABCs? What is the right track on the road to home ownership? What is the first thing you should do? What is the second thing you should do? Is it realtor before financing? Is it financing before realtor?
Finances. So I would always tell everybody, get your finances in order first. Know your credit. Talk to the lender. Talk to a bank. Figure it out. And I always tell my clients, you can shop around. Like, just because you went to ABC Bank doesn't mean that's the only bank in town. You know what I mean? There's different programs. There's different banks. There's different lenders. Figure that out first, and just see where you're at. But then also, I would say 1A and 1 and 1A is, what's your budget? Like, do you know your monthly income? You know, how much you got to pay for student loans? How much is your car note? Yeah. What are you paying right now in rent? Do you want to stay at that number?
So you are not responsible for the debt to income ratio breakdown?
Hell no.
Okay. That's something that they got to sort out with the lender.
That's all the lender. But I need to know some of it because I have to know about a good amount of everybody else's job so that I can know who's doing the right job, and two, how to help my clients get through the process, because they're scared. You know, this is the biggest thing that they've gotten embarked in, and they don't know what to know. They don't know what to expect, and I gotta help them, like almost like a stewardess, and a pilot. I gotta be the stewardess and the pilot. I gotta fly the plane, but also gotta make sure that they're comfortable in their seats.
Cool. I got a bunch of questions, but we don't have time for that. So we're gonna talk about how you relax after all of this. After all of this, you've dealt with the couple that hasn't communicated well amongst themselves. Mm-hmm. You've dealt with the first time buyer that has found the house before they found their financing.
Yeah,
right? So, all right, in terms of chill, now I know this, and I'm intrigued as hell about transcendental meditation. Do I have that right?
Yo.
Transcendental meditation.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is transcendental meditation?
Well, meditation, for one, is just a different form of meditation. So,
now this is something that,
mind you, I'm new to it too. So I'm not no expert.
But you ain't gotta be an expert. But I think this is important for people to know, because I think, again, one of the things that one of the reasons why people tend to be attracted to you or gravitate towards you is your ability to be open to a variety of different things. Right, and I think you do a lot of self-care, and to be in a profession that you're in where basically you eat what you kill, and a lot of what you kill is dependent upon everybody else having their ducks in a row. I think there's a lot to be said for that, and you putting me on. So when you was like, yo, I got this transcendental. It's a mouthful, bro.
Yeah. TM, just call it TM.
Nah, I don't like. I do not
you want
like
abbreviations.
Well, I only try to abbreviate after
understanding.
After I've gained a level of confidence and comfort with the real name.
Okay.
So I try to. I don't like to let myself off the hook with that.
Yep.
So transcendental meditation.
Yep.
Is something that you try for this is the first time you tried this, or
yes.
How long you been doing this?
My first time I tried it.
All right.
I've done meditation before, but this is my first time doing this meditation.
And it's communal, or is it just private? Is it a private session?
Well, today was a private. The one I did today was a private session.
All right. So how did you learn about this?
So, okay.
Yeah. How did you go ahead? How did you learn about transcendental meditation?
So I heard about it through another colleague realtor who used to work for my company, and he had did a Facebook Live about it, and he was saying how it was really good for him, helping him, get himself in balance. You know what I mean? And kind of piqued my interest because I was like, okay, that's a different form of meditation other than the Calm app that I was using or I had heard about prior to at that time. And I knew meditation had worked just to keep me relaxed because, you're dealing with everybody else's stuff.
Yeah.
In your job. And you know how it is. Like,
self-care.
Self-care is
important,
huge,
It's important.
Like, we talked about just getting massages, like taking that 90-minute. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I had somebody work them kinks out with them elbows as a thing.
Yeah, I was in a tough place.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of which, I owe myself a 90-minute. Going for the 120 because that 90-minute goes real fast. Yeah. I think they jerk you on that.
You gotta max out on
You gotta max out on that. But
max out on the massage.
He said he did it, and one of the things like how we talk about Amazon and retargeting you. for some reason I had like a pop-up come up on my Facebook feed for it. And I was like, well, I heard about it. And then I heard a couple of pretty prominent figures, you know, in entertainment and in business. Ray Dalio does it. I don't know if people know who he is, but Ray Dalio. Yeah. Ray Dalio has done it. I think it's Jerry Seinfeld and a couple other.
Ray Dalio is one of the what is he the richest person in Connecticut?
He's one of the richest people in the world.
There you go.
I mean, Connecticut's very. That's not even.
There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah,
he's one of the best, institutional investors of all time.
Yeah.
So, you look at those guys are doing it, and they're having uber amount of success. Well, there's got to be something to it because they're sticking to it, and they're ambassadors to the practice. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, all right, well, no, it wasn't I have to pay anything to go, so let me go and just see what it's about. And I asked, I went, and I was like, oh, okay, it was different from, and they explained it was really different from the traditional meditation that most people know about. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, well, I'll rock, and once again, me's like, okay, there's what and then the outer zone of like, you gotta push yourself, and be okay with being uncomfortable and putting yourself in a different zone, because if you want the results, or if you want to find that inner peace for you, you might have to try things you don't necessarily know.
And that was important for you because of what?
I don't say I don't deal with stress well, but it's figuring out different ways to unlock the other potential in your brain, and that's one of the proponents of transcendental meditation, and just finding how to keep that rhythm piece within yourself to perform, because you got to be at your best mentally, you got to be at your best physically, and I know that I can work on my body as much as I want. I'll go run, I'll go do my 5 a.m. workouts, but your headspace is just as important as your physical space that you so I was like, all right, well, I got to invest into that. I do my reading, I do listen to Audible, and I do all those things. And we always talk about books, and, that's just another aspect of taking care of your mental. So I was like, all right, well, like I said, these people are doing it. You got to put yourself in those kind of arenas where, once again, you may be the only one, or you may, be one of a few, but do it. So I did it. And I went today, and it's a different experience. A really different experience.
And your feelings going into it were what?
Don't have any preconceived notions.
So you didn't have any expectations, but did you want to achieve something in your mind, like, all right, or were you just open to it?
Open to it. As long as I ain't sacrificing no goats and doing no crazy shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I ain't sacrificing nobody and nothing crazy like that, and I'm not sitting and worshiping nobody's idols or nothing like that. Then I'm open to it.
And so this was your first session.
Mm-hmm.
You walked out feeling how?
I couldn't even explain it. It was like my body and my mind were like.
So you weren't. And also the other thing was, so you weren't supposed to drink, right? The night before.
I wasn't supposed to drink.
The preparation before. It was supposed to be what?
Just have a good night's sleep.
Okay.
You gotta have a good night's sleep. There's certain things they ask you to bring, and no drinking, no smoking. Don't take no drugs if you take drugs. Like, you gotta be clean. Just you want to have
the night before.
Yeah.
It's just 24 hours, or they saying what? Okay.
24 hours, and then you're supposed to go. You're not supposed to eat. Have your meal 2 hours before you go there. So, like, you know what I mean? So you're having almost like a fast kind of deal. Like, so just be clean so that, your body is in its purest form, I guess. Best way to put it.
Yeah.
And so I was out last night.
Yeah. And
I didn't plan on going out. But who I call the wise men, wanted to go out, and I hadn't seen him, in a while. And then you and I linked up because I was already out.
Yeah.
And I had a couple sips of a drink.
Okay. Yeah.
A couple sips. And it was one of those, because I'm just so used to doing it in those environments.
And you didn't, obviously, I would be skeptical thinking like a couple of drinks are not going to affect my ability to meditate.
Yeah.
Be it transcendental meditation or any or otherwise, right? But the experience was what?
My fucking head was pounding. I felt it. I felt the alcohol. Like I had a headache when I finished.
And this was a private session. It was just you and
me and the teacher,
the instructor. And how long was the session?
Probably about an hour.
An hour?
Yeah.
And so you walked out feeling
like realigned. Like
is the instructor taking you through?
I can't really talk about what they do.
But is it verbal?
It's personal to you.
Okay.
So it's kind of like it's your journey through it, you know, and they're kind of guiding you, kind of deal. But it's specific to you. But it's and you're gonna get different. You're gonna get different results each time. So it's like you don't really go in there for results. You go in there kind of learn how to do it.
And for whatever reason, I keep as I'm imagining this, I'm thinking about physical movement as if it's yoga, right? But
it's not.
It's not. Are you sitting
sitting
still?
In a chair.
Sitting in a chair.
Sitting in a chair, like how you be sitting there watching TV. That's it.
Okay.
Yoga.
Would you recommend it?
Yes.
Okay.
I would recommend any kind of meditation, but starting with this, I would say, based off what I experienced in this meditation, I would recommend this one because I've done regular meditation. I use the Calm app and I've paid for that, and that's good too. I think that's a start.
Yeah.
But you know, like if you meditated before, you know your brain doesn't shut off. Like you're still having thoughts, and you're trying to like pull your brain back into focus and pull your brain back into focus.
It's about control.
And you're sitting there just kind of like, fuck, is it 5 minutes yet? Like, how long have I had my eyes closed? Like, I want the shit to be over. When's the timer going to go off? Mm-hmm. I legit didn't have that experience.
You were present. You were in the moment.
I was in the moment, like, and whatever thoughts came through, they came through, but my body was in a whole different, you know, my body and my mind just came in a whole different space and zone that I was like, oh, okay, that's meditation. Like, that's a meditation I probably see Russell Simmons doing. Like, where, like, when I woke up, like, when I say woke up, when I came back out of meditating, I, like, had I need a minute to figure my shit out. Like, where the fuck am I at real quick? Like, holy shit. Like, this is, wait a minute. This is a little different.
Okay.
This happened a little different. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's important, and I think, you know, self-care is absolutely essential. And fortunately, or I would say unfortunately, it hasn't been something that is taught or even valued in our community, because we always value things that we can see and we can touch.
Correct.
Not understanding that the value that we have is mostly within our mental health. Mm-hmm. And we can only stretch our mental health and I would say our potential to really create value for ourselves and others as much as we are physically healthy to be able to physically contribute. Mm-hmm. But in order to physically work, you have to be in the right mental headspace, and so balance is absolutely important.
Yep.
And I definitely want to continue the conversation on just things that we do in order to make sure that we don't go crazy to keep it plain.
Yeah.
Because and that has to do with relationships, you know, personal relationships, professional relationships, relationships with in health and medicine.
Yeah.
All of it. And so I think it's absolutely profound. When you told me you did that, I had to immediately YouTube. We back to YouTube. I had to YouTube transcendental meditation because I never heard of it before. I mean, obviously I heard of meditation, and I tend to spend a lot of time with myself and think about things, and I do a lot of reflection and reflection on the ways I think about encounters. For me, it's about encounters. So I do a lot of reflection on the way that I responded to a particular situation that was either uncomfortable, comfortable, or a situation that I thought I had a control over, a situation that I thought I didn't have control over. A lot of reflection. So I'm always intrigued by different methods to realign your mental, because anytime you can expand your mind, I think it leaves you in a better space, and it leaves you better prepared to deal with instances as they arise that will help you live a longer life. Straight up, I commend you for that.
Appreciate it.
I'm looking forward to my session and seeing what's up with that. But we're approaching. We're a little over an hour right now, so I want to sort of bring this thing down and I don't know, man. How you want to do this? I mean, folks already follow you on IG.
Love two IGs,
so it's a matter of. I'm curious to hear the feedback from folks. So where you want to hear the feedback?
Same way.
So DM Dre, because you ain't getting mine.
Leave you out of it.
Let them know.
Leave you out of it.
Let them know. Let them know what you think. If we're going to continue the conversation on a variety of topics: professional, life, entrepreneurship, mental health, relationships.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Romantic, but also non-romantic. You know what I'm saying? Relationships.
Yep.
And how important those are, because I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm heavy on that I'm a non-negotiable on, and to me, I'm non-negotiable on who I spend my time with.
Agreed.
I'm very selective with that. So.
You are known to get low. You are known to get low.
But yeah, man, I'm interested to hear what everybody thinks. Again, this was the pilot joint.
On2.
We don't know if that's gonna be it.
On2.
But for right now,
I'm putting it out there.
On2, but all right, that's real. All right, everybody, peace.